Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Phil Demetriadis, and thanks for coming back along here. So today we're gonna jump into some gorilla sketching. And first thing I wanted to say is I had to take a little bit of a break. So I was swamped with school, and I took a break for a couple good reasons. So here are the reasons. Number one, which you guys are gonna like this, is I spent a lot of time and effort replanning, readjusting my whole studio at home so I could start live streaming. Okay, that's right, live stream. Phil's gonna start live streaming. So I'm gonna start doing some live stream here at home, and also I'm also trying to set up a portable system so when I go to school, and if we have a guest lecturer, and most importantly, we have Friday free costume figure drawing. Okay, somewhat free. I mean, it's free for our students, even though we, the instructors, usually pay for it out of our own pocket. But we do it because we love the students and we love you guys out there. And it's a great part of your education as an artist to be able to look at the human figure and to be able to sketch it. And if you're really confused about looking at the figure itself, that's fine. Starting with the costume is actually a little bit easier than starting at bare bone minimums of looking at human anatomy, muscles, osteology, which is bone structure, and bringing that all together. So no worries, don't worry about that. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's what I was sort of busy doing. And also, you know, trying to write out sort of a little bit of a business plan and an idea about how to really expand my channel and some things to do. So that's what's coming up, and sorry I didn't have any videos coming out there. I only have about 3.5 weeks off, and then it was Christmas time, I had family visiting, blah 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 blah, and it was just super duper busy. So here I am, school started again, and the other really cool thing that we were working on is I work with two other guys that are really, really talented, Frank Guthrie and another guy named Mike Sheehan, okay? And these two guys that are in my department, which is digital arts and also part of my entertainment arts program, both of them have 17 years of experience working in their fields. Frank was a 3D modeler and a 3D guru. He has a really cool channel too I want you guys to check out. It's called Fullerton College Digital Arts. And then Mike, oh my God, Mike is one of the best draftsmen I've ever seen. Mike has worked in consumer products and for Disney Imagineering, and he's super duper talented. Both these guys, super nice guys, super amazing. So where am I going with this? Well, we've been changing and rewriting and creating new classes, and we're creating an online adaptation to our classes so we can start offering them online so you guys out there in internet land can tag along and take a class. Now, someone's going to ask me, how much are the class? And so I'm not quite sure yet. Our standard fee is really minimal. It's only $150 per class for California residents. However, when you're a non-resident, technically you pay non-resident fee. So what does that mean exactly? I don't know if it's going to be $600, it could be $900, but it's for 16 full weeks. It's not for like a quick session like some of the online schools are only charging 8 weeks and they charge $800, $900. That would be 16 full weeks. So we're trying to get the district to adjust that price, but we'll figure that out later. Anyway, that's the good news. So here we are. Phil's back, and I'm coming back with more power, with more interviews, and trying to, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that, bring forth an interview phase to my channel where I get to talk and do some other things. So anyway, here we are on gorillas. So what's so cool about gorillas? What makes them hard to draw? Well, gorillas have some really complex shapes in them that make them a little bit different than understanding some other animals. A couple of those shapes you'll see is the pronounced face with sort of a squashed nose in there. Another feature is the eyes that drop inside the skull, and they're surrounded by like a pretty defined skeletal structure, okay? So you'll see me sketching that right here. I'm really thinking about the eyes fitting in and trying to drop inside part of that structure. After that, the next thing I go to is that nose. I really have to get that squashed nose sort of established. From that point on, looking at the difference between gorillas, orangutans, some chimpanzees, also some of these animals from different continents, looking at my reference, which I did not show you, but I have. There are some differences in the way that the jaws drop down, the way that the mouth connects with the upper part. And so I'm trying to play off of that and trying to go for some shape variations, you know. So in some weird way, it's finding that happy middle spot, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do another video for you guys too, because the one thing you didn't see is that I'm out in my sketchbook all the time drawing. So I'm going to open up my sketchbook to you guys, which I don't think I've really done that before. And I'm going to show you, I even bought a GoPro to hook up with me to take out to start recording when I draw, when I'm in my sketchbook. So I'll be doing more of that. So I'm really trying to involve you guys with more process, and I think it would make the viewers happier to have some of that. Because when I look around at some of the other channels, you know, there's some things I noticed. You know, I know a couple guys that have some channels that do really good. Someone told me, make your videos under 10 minutes long. And I'm like, you know, I don't really want to do that because I don't get to share process and I don't get to share evolution. And you know, people said, oh, but there's a digital society and people can't stay on without a certain amount of time. You know what? That might be true, but I think a lot of you out there would appreciate the fact that I'm showing you process and development, and I'm gonna have bad sketches. I have crappy days and shitty days. That's just normal. That's just what happens out there to artists. So, you know, I'm gonna try to keep my videos under an hour, but I really want to get more into the process of things and try to build that up to try to help you guys along quite a bit, you know. So anyway, whenever I sketch here, always starting with the head ball. I'm analyzing my key shapes that are very responsive to the particular animal that I'm drawing. And what I mean by that key shapes is I'm always looking for the key factors that define a particular animal. So, and then I need to think about squash and stretch. So with gorillas, we mentioned it's the eyes, the nose, and the upper jaw. So, and how the lower jaw connects. That right there is pivotal. The other part I didn't mention is they have a little bit of fur on top, a little bit of fur that comes off the side, and ears. They have sort of human-like ears that are actually, not stating this to get any of my fellow, any religious upset out there in the world, but their ears are very, whether or not you believe in Darwinism or not, their ears are the same proportions as human beings. So if you draw a line from the top of the eye and go back, that's the top of the ear. If you go from the bottom of the nose back, that's the bottom of the ear, which is the same pretty much identity that in the same proportions that are on the human figure. So I know I'm waiting to hear these males like, are you trying to say that these here apes are our mission cousins and they're related human beings? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the proportions are similar, dude. So I don't care what your belief system is. I really don't. I'm just here to draw and talk about drawing. Belief systems are a whole nother can of worms, and we all have to have respect for everybody's belief system, right? Right. That's what makes the world go around. Anyway, back to gorillas, right? So look at that eyebrow there, because they have that huge, like, Cro-Magnon man protruding eye bracket that comes out of there, right? So just in that sketch right there, just, you see that roughness in there? That's important to me because I'm already identifying and setting up part of the character. Huge eyebrow, the huge Cro-Magnon forehead brow that turns into the eyebrow, squash nose, and now boom, just swing that loop down, which is part of that gorilla face, you know? And right there, that's really half the battle up in the front end. It's just really developing that, you know? And like I tell you guys before, I tell my students this, is you're not always going to have an awesome drawing. You know, you're going to struggle sometimes. And for me, whenever I start drawing, my first, 5 or 6 drawings suck. They're not me hitting my par. And then all of a sudden, when I lose that train of thought and I'm just listening to some good music and working along, bam, it happens where I hit some drawing, or I hit what I call, I've told you this guys before, I hit my stepping stone. My stepping stone is that drawing that now takes me to another drawing that's even better. And that's what part of the process is, you know. When you look at the European masters, you look at a lot of the talented, the Japanese artists, and you look at the American illustrators, part of their school of thought and training was really coming from a background of process in building up, doing thumbnails, looking at visual language, silhouettes, doing tonal studies, doing little miniature color studies, then going to a finished product. So, I in my videos, you guys hear me talk about that. That's something that's really, really big still to me, and it's a huge part of my process. So if I'm going to get hired by a company and they want me to sketch characters, see, I look back and I'm like, I hate this guy. I did hate him now because I realized he was a stepping stone to something else. So I'm going to go back. Oops. I'm going to go back and I'm going to revamp him, which is doable. That's fine. Okay. Anyway, so get the good drawings out. That's what erasers are for. But at the same context, don't sit and erase your whole paper. If you're doing that all the time, you can't do that. Then you got to just go through 6 or 7 sheets of paper and see what you end up with. And then trust me, after a week of doing that, you'll get better and better. So while I'm sketching this, another thing I'm working on too is developing some more. I noticed in a lot of my videos, I get a lot of really big foundational questions. So pretty soon I'm going to try to organize my YouTube site and have more categories for beginners, intermediate, and some more advanced, and start talking about some other topics, because there are a lot of you out there that might be shy to ask, but like I just had a gentleman, I think, I'm trying to remember your name. I know he was like Swedish or Danish or Norwegian, who asked me a question about transferring scale on a hill. And how do you figure that out? That's a great question. That's something to talk about. So I'm going to start to put some of that more simplified demos up like that, talking about some of that information, to see if that helps you guys out a little bit. So what I'm doing here, I decided to push up the size of the eye socket, make the eyes smaller, have tiny ears, because if you look at it, you can see the relationship with the top of the ear still hitting the eyeball, and I brought the nose up. I think that's something that just happens automatically, and then at the same time, I'm still able to come in here and bring some cool fur in, for a first pass, it's I tell my students this can't be super critical of your work. If you do a page of sketches and you come out and you're a beginner and you have 1 or 2 that are successful, that's a good day, folks. Remember, some of you out there in drawing land, you've only been doing this for 6 months or a year, or maybe you got back into it because mom and dad wanted you to go follow a business degree or something, and you changed your life in your mid-30s or 40s, realize that's not what you don't want to do. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you have to realize it comes in due process. I've been drawing and sketching for many years, and for a lot of years I was just drawing and sketching on like pieces of paper and chucking it, and then I really started to get back involved with my sketchbook just over the past couple of years, and that sort of, I think from being around guys like Patrick Ballesteros, who's in his sketchbook all the time, and of course seeing like Mike Sheehan in his sketchbook, it's really got me like, man, why am I not just, instead of drawing on loose paper and tossing it or forgetting about it, I should be either recording it digitally like this, or just, there's something cool about having it in your sketchbook when you can flip it open and show to somebody. So I think in my next demo, I might turn on the camera and I might live stream and record it at the same time. So I'll do a double whammy. Those of you that can watch it, that'd be cool. And that's also the comment I'm getting from a lot of my students, is they're like, Phil, can we just watch you draw? Like, to sit down and draw. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll do more of that, I try to incorporate it in. So anyway, thank you guys out there for following and watching. You guys leave some really cool feedback, a lot of the times, and no one's been really negative, and I really like that. It's just a lot of positive energy on the channel. So I'm sorry I disappeared for so long over the break, but my goal is to come back like tenfold with more videos and more options, and to do more things for you guys, So I think it'll be really cool. I think things in the next year are really going to develop pretty cool, and there'll be a lot of fun things taking place, So anyway, back to basics here, right? Simple circles, and you'll notice the first thing I'm doing are boom, eyes in. Usually it's eyebrow, eyes, nose. Boom. That right there to me immediately identifies who we're dealing with here. Now it's funny, I could take that sketch and I could easily turn it into a turtle by adjusting the size of the neck or pronouncing something out. But once you get that ear in there, it's so funny because, some animals are separated just by a real small amount. Look at that. That could easily be a turtle like that. You see that? I could transfer it and then make the ears smaller or different. But it's funny when you start looking at a lot of sketching, drawing, and animation, sometimes they're just a lot of real simple similarities that bring you from one animal to another. One of these days I'm going to do a demo on that, where I'm going to draw the base of a character and talk about how just changing one or two things totally modifies how that character looks or feels. So anyway, and I'm going to do something else on cam that I haven't done yet, which is I haven't really shown my face. So I know there's a couple pictures of me out there, and I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's like you hate the sound of your voice online. Well, I don't want to be looking at my face up close, but I know some of my students told me, like, hey, you know, Phil, it's easier for people to relate to you when they see your face. And I'm Mediterranean background, so I talk with my hands in the air all the time, and I make weird expressions, and it's hard for me to lie with my face because I make these weird... Anyway, so I get it. Point taken. I'll start showing more face things on and talk to you guys, and plus there's some other important things to talk about. I also want to add a part to my channel that deals with motivation, that deals with, you know, being organized, scheduling, and artistic temperament and stuff like that. So all good stuff. Anyway, I really like the way this guy's going. I'm getting this feel for like an old wisdom sort of jungle chief. That's the feel I'm getting with this lower lip. It pronounces out further past the upper snout. And I'm thinking his back sort of ties in, and I'm thinking, but I don't know if I should sketch it. I'm thinking he has like when he talks, he has a little bit of spit coming out. Maybe he has like a bunch of old bones, and, you know, one of those old necklaces, because he's like a chief, not a chief, but he's like the wisdom guru of the family of apes. So again, I look back at some of my other sketches. To me, this is a keeper right here. I really like the path I ended up on this one, you know. That's the goal, folks. I've never seen anybody who just, boom, just every drawing they do is wonderful. That's not how designers work. In fact, I'm really bad to say this, but I forget this. When I was working on a show for Disney, it was Chicken Little 2, and then it got canned, okay? I was doing environment design, which were all backgrounds. That's my specialty in the industry, okay? I worked with this woman, and I always forget her name, but she worked at Pixar, and she was the main designer who designed Woody. And I sat down and watched how this lady worked, and it was pretty cool. You know what she'd do? She'd take a real rough, like, ballpoint pen, and she would sit down and just burn through like 15 pages of 8.5 by 14 paper. So that's what we call legal size in the United States, you know, like standard Xerox paper. And she would just burn through like 10 pages doing these really rough sketches. Then she would go back and she would cut out the ones that she likes, and then she would tape them down, and then she would build off of those. Hence, process, right? That's exactly what she's doing. She's going through developing process. And that's the thing that irks me. Oops, I didn't mean to go off there. That's the thing that irks me about a lot of art instructors these days, is they don't show process, and they don't draw for their students. And I mean, my personal belief system, I come back and I say, how dare you, you know, because that pisses me off a little bit. You're an art instructor, and your job is to instruct. And one way you instruct is you gain confidence of those that are watching you. And to gain confidence, you have to produce and draw. And if you don't believe in your skill sets that enough, then you don't practice enough, which means what are you going to contribute to your students? So one of my biggest quirks and battles out there are when instructors just sort of come to class and they just don't draw and they don't strut their stuff. I mean, and that to me is, okay, you've lost some level of confidence in yourself, and I just don't get it, right? Just all you got to do is whip out a sketchbook and draw, and trust me, it's a little intimidating at first, but then you will be so much better down the line, and people respect you for that. People respect you for being able to come up with an idea, and there's just something about practicing what you preach. I mean, to me, I'll give the best metaphor, which is, you know, athletics, right? After I finished high school, I went back, and my old coach, Chuck Bishop, total badass, right? Pan Am Games wrestler, total studmeister, right? He came back and asked me to coach. And I was like, you want me to coach? I'm like, I broke my jaw my senior year. I couldn't even go to league or CIF because of that. And he goes, nope, there's something in you I like that I think would be a great teacher. And I never understood it then because I was only 18, right? Well, I went back to coach because my younger brother was starting to go through the same sport at the same high school I went to. And you know what? It taught me a lot about kids look up to you and people look up to you. And as a wrestling coach, the first thing you do is you have to identify an ounce of respect with your fellow athletes. And once you gain that respect and you show them, number one, I know more technique than you do because you're younger. Number two, I will kick your ass and throw you on the ground. Okay, if you in part of number two, which is number three, is therefore have respect. And that's something in life that I've mentioned before on my channel in all regards, is you have respect for everybody. People of different backgrounds, nationalities, religions, faiths, gay, straight, it doesn't matter, right? That's what makes the world go round, is not having a ton of hate out there. But on that context, you guys are like, he's going on a rant right now. I'm not trying to go on a rant. I'm just trying to bring up the simple principle, right? Which is, if you're hired to do a job, I'm hired to coach. That's my job, is to coach. So my job right now is to draw and to guide people. It's to guide students to a path of success, and it's coming on YouTube like this, looking at how the world is changing and being able to realize that, wow, I can sketch and make a change in people's life. That's right. So in that same context, if you're going to become a fireman in a fire department, you better have the ability to put out freaking fires, right? Right. And if you're going to be, want to work in areas of art or teaching, you have to show your process and work with students. They want to see it. They want to see what your skill sets are. And I think every student out there watching this video right now would come back and do me a favor, just reply back in my comments and say, yes, Phil is right, because I am right. You know why? Because I've been a student, I'm still learning, and it's really, really important to be sitting there in a classroom with your teacher who's drawing and showing you their process. So all of you teachers out there that feel intimidated or threatened or whatever, don't let your insecurities get involved. Just get out there and show process. Don't be afraid. Show them how you think. Show them how you get from point A to point D. Students love to say that, to see that information, and they'll say it. They'll be like, yes, Phil's totally right. Show us your process. Show us how you sketch. And you want to know why that's important? Because part of process is building up skill sets. And when you see me fail at a drawing, or you see how I start, that's going to inspire the rest of you guys to start, right? Right. So I'm not going off on a rant, but you know what? I just look at it's just really simple to me, and this is a battle. I received a couple emails from a couple instructors that are at the high school level, and they told me, we play your videos in our class and the students love them. Okay, I think that's awesome. So for you, the instructor, whether you're high school or you're elementary school or college, whatever you might be, do you want to get better? Pull out your sketchbook, find someone to copy, and start to mimic. And that's how you get better. And trust me, a year from now, you will come back, and any of those feelings of intimidation or scaredness that you had, they will all be gone, because you were willing to commit yourself to your drawing and to your sketching. And that is what the world of drawing and sketching is all about. End of story. Okay? Wow. Okay, I got it out. It wasn't a rant. I'm just trying to focus on this one point, because I get comments from people on my YouTube site, and people send me emails all the time, and they're like, Phil, you're totally right. I'm at a university and my instructors don't draw for me. Why is that? Well, because not that they're bad people or bad artists, they just feel a little bit of intimidation, and they need to get over that, and they need to show their process and show students how they work. And I don't care if you're doing fine artwork, I don't care if you're doing assemblage or you're doing bronze work. Show your process, man. People eat that stuff up. They want to know how to do that, right? So in my video, comment, put process, right? Because that's what you guys love, and that's the one thing, I've been putting all my videos up here on YouTube, and the one thing I've learned is everyone and all my students and everybody keeps saying, process, process, process. This is worth its weight in gold. And when I go look at some of those other sites out there from other artists that have been in the industry, the one thing that I think that frustrates everybody is they're not showing process. They show you like one drawing they do in 2 minutes, and then boom, they show you the finished render of the drawing, and that's it. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but that blows. And you're not really teaching anybody with that, you know? So anyway, my rant's done. I'll go back to gorillas. Sorry, I do have my rants sometimes. They just happen. But I think everybody watching this video would totally agree with that, you know? So anyway, all right. So I'm looking forward to streaming. Hold on, I'm stuck here for a minute. Which direction to go? I want to go back and define this real quick. I like this guy right here, by the way. He really turned out pretty cool. And what I really like, can you tell that Phil spent some time looking at Milk Hall's work? Doesn't that sort of look like a Milk Hall gorilla right there? I'm not looking at Milk Hall now, but when you look at different artists, you start to figure some stuff out on how they work, and you bring that into your own process. Hence, that's why the great masters copied other artists. That's why the American illustrators copied other artists. That's why artists have been mimicking each other for decades. That's why, you know, Led Zeppelin copied some of the Beatles, and that's why all these different bands. In fact, if you want to watch a really great video that deals with this, go onto YouTube and look up the video, Everything is a Remix. You'll love it. It'll blow your mind, and it's totally true. And it's very similar to art as well. And let me explain that for you while I'm drawing. I'm going for a mad gorilla here. Let me see if it comes out right. This is how it works. Okay? You expose yourself to everybody else's style and technique, the way they draw eyes, ears, mouths, nose, toes, you name it. And you keep doing that, and what happens is your brain, your cognitive ability and awareness eventually pulls out the things that interest you, and then it combines that into your style, and voila, your style comes out. And that's what it's all about, folks. That's how you sum it up, you know? So, anyway. All right. Oh, I'm liking this guy a lot. I love those eyebrows, pointy ears. I almost want to stop him here and not have much of fur that comes down, but I don't know. I could see sometimes I screw it up and I go too far. I could just see the way he's talking with that pointy chin. He's got to have like an English accent, maybe, you know, like a Sean Connery thing, like, well, you can do. Well, that's not really English, but anyway, I'll screw it up. Yeah, I like him. He has like a mohawk looking thing of fur. Maybe it flips to each side. He's cool. That's Keeper. Let me see if I can. I know you're like, why'd you erase it? Let me just see, or maybe make it a little bit more, because I get to, sometimes my drawback is I don't know when to stop. All artists are like that. I like it a little bit more pointy, maybe. It's all right. I could always do more renditions of him. You know what? That's maybe what I should do. Yeah, that'd be a cool another demo, is take a couple of these that I like and then talking about going on to the second pass, right? Moving forward. So I think that's what we'll do for after this. Okay. Can you imagine being a police officer and then you don't want to go to any calls and pull out your gun? I'm sorry. See, I'm back on it, right? No, I'm sorry. I should stop. It's funny because I was talking to a couple students the other day that came from my local university. So some of you know I teach at a junior college, and I love my school because I went there. I learned a lot from that school, and there were teachers there that changed part of my life, and that's why I'm back there, is to contribute to them. However, I do have 2 local universities close to me, and I have students that come from those universities that tell me that they take classes in drawing or classes in painting with instructors who don't paint or who don't draw or who don't do the things that they do, and I just don't get it. I think there's so much for all these artists to show with process to other people. Why not, you know? The other thing I'm going to do is I made a really cool book for the school that I teach at, and I'm going to make that book available on Gumroad, and it'll be a downloadable PDF. And I think I might just ask for like $3 or $4. It's a 170-page book that has, most of it's all student work with some work from the instructors. And I think it's sort of inspiring. And then if you guys buy that book and download the PDF, what's cool about it is any of the proceeds we're going to use to pay some of our figure drawing funds for our costume figure drawing event. So that's a cool way for you guys out there to join us and to sit down and sketch with us on Friday nights. And I'm also thinking about, I could already picture some people out there like, well, I have to work on Friday nights, or I live in Australia and I can't join on a Friday night. Okay, don't get mad. I'll record it too. I'll find out a way to record it, and then I'll upload it back through YouTube. So I'll bring my recorder, turn it on, I'll record it at 720, and then that'll be another option that if you miss the live stream, I will put it up. And what's cool is you can literally pause it and you can look at the model and everything will be cool in the game, right? Right. So that way you guys get a chance to get out there. So, but I really enjoy the figure drawing group. It's an amazing thing that we've been doing, but it has got a little pricey because we have to pay our models like $28 an hour. So they're there drawing for almost 2.5 hours. So we pay them for 3 hours. And then on top of that, we usually pay a couple bucks for food to buy people stuff. And if you happen to live in Southern California and you would like to come, it is a free, F-R-E-E, it is a free event open to the public. So if you're from a local high school or if you're at another college, come on by and draw with us, man. I mean, that's why we do this, is to encourage other people out there to just come draw, say hi, and just have a good time. It's all part of the learning. So anyway, hope that all makes sense. But I'm gonna bring my recorder with me and I'll set it up for this Friday as well, and that'll be pretty cool. And the model does take breaks, and I'll try to pose it and edit out, but then I'll put it back up and you guys can watch it. I do think one of our goals was we were trying to figure out how we could set up 3 different cams at one time, and then you guys could watch and rotate between every different cam, but we might ask for a small donation of just a couple bucks, and that couple bucks would go to feed the model, right? And so you would do that donation by like going to Gumroad or something, and then that would allow us to to run this free event on Fridays, which I'm going to just start recording it. I think you guys will find it to be pretty cool. I mean, it's a lot of fun and it's a great drawing. And what's cool on YouTube is you can pause it, right? We could be on the model, I can zoom in, you can hit pause, and bam, then you guys can even watch it and do a more developed drawing if you want. I mean, how do you go wrong with that? And it's free. So anyway, but yeah. So sorry, I need something to talk about sometimes when I'm. So as you've noticed, sometimes I do, for example, these drawings, I actually did these in class, and there were lots of students talking in the back, and there was different music playing. So I just, sometimes if it's really bad, I have to edit out the sound, and then I just do a voiceover, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, so let me get the voiceover done, and then I'll get this rendered out, and we'll get it up. And I also have some good news for you. So more good news at the end of the video here. I went to an event that takes place in Burbank, California called CTN, the Creative Talent Network. I brought my recorder and my phone with me, and I interviewed a ton of people, and I recorded the event to show you guys. Well, I downloaded all that footage and I put it on a Lacy backup drive. And then guess what happened after November? My Lacy drive went dead. Yes, it did. And I was totally bummed because I lost all that footage and I lost CTN. And then I finally forked out about $150, and I was able to take my drive to a pro. He was able to open it and dissect it, and he recovered about 85% of the footage, which is great. So I have that footage. I'm going through and having to edit and voice over a little bit. As soon as I'm done, I know it's a couple months late, but I will have a free video up for you guys about CTN. And CTN is a creative talent network where all these artists come from all over. Some are from all over the United States. They're from other countries. Some are from Canada. And people come all the way down here just to show their stuff and talk about art or whatever. It's a pretty cool event. So I will have that video up. That is my next video in my loop to be edited, and as soon as I get that done, I would be more than happy to share it with you guys, okay? I think you'll like it, but I know CTN was in the middle of November, and here I am bringing it to you a couple months later, but I thought all the footage was gone, and I was like, man, how did this happen? Luckily, I don't know if I had a virus on the drive or whatever, but I was able to get the files off. I was able to rewipe the whole drive, and now it seems to be working fine. It's back to normal. So it could have been a virus thing, which what I should have done, which I didn't do, is there's an antivirus software out there called NOD32. It stands for No Open Doors 32. It is the best PC antivirus I've ever found. What I should have done is plug that LaCie drive into my main computer, and my main computer would have scanned it and prevented any portable viruses that might have been coming through there. And I think that's what I had on there, and that's what wiped it out. So my bad, I didn't do that. Live and learn, right? And we'll get that done. I like this guy a lot. He's got this sort of tough face, and he's got these big eyebrows, and he looks like he's strong, but he also looks like he's a little slow. So, pretty cool character. Anyway, almost done here. We're going to wrap it up in just a second. What I want to do is, what I like to do is come back under my drawings and show you. I put a little bit of light blue to show you what the silhouette sort of looks like, so I can see a little bit better which ones are working and how things are popping out. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for tagging in, listening to me go on my rants, and of course for just watching on the channel, all the positive feedback that you guys have been giving out there. And you know what? There's a lot more to come, and I have a lot of cool changes coming up, especially with the streaming and the other things. So I will see you guys soon. I will talk to you later. Take care and keep on drawing, all right? Bye, guys.